Hey guys, welcome back to a very special video. This is for the people who own a business, or if you're a sales professional, business leader, this is very, very important for you. This is coming from my bread and butter. I coach people how to negotiate. I coach people how to close sales. So I'm going to share a couple of tips that I see fundamentally going wrong, especially in this part of the world, in subcontinent, when it comes to a negotiation. Before I move on, it's really important that I share my techniques of sales and negotiation are actually created for high value products. Now, what is a high value product? People have different perspectives. You can bring different angles to it. Now, this is how I see it. Couple of things. One thing is limited availability. A high value product is not available all the time and everywhere. A high value product doesn't have the economies of scale that we have 100,000 units this month, and next month there's a demand for 1 million, then you're going to produce as such. So high value product doesn't work like that. So then you might ask, like, does iPhone comes as under the category of high value product? Well, in terms of price, yes, in the category of mobile phones. But in my metrics, still not a high value product. Rolls-Royce manufactured 6,000 vehicles last year. That's obviously a high value product. They make on your request, they tailor make it. And Bugatti only manufactured 80 something vehicles. Now that's a high value product. Now, whatever the product or services that you do, you need to know this is the number of units. So these are the number of people that I serve given a financial cycle, let's say 1 year. And then one of the other thing comes to a high value product is marketing. See, it's always about a value that you perceive, isn't it? The way you look at a product or a service. The marketing can manipulate the way you look at a product, the way you feel about certain thing. So high value product, limited availability, not easy to gain, and pretty well marketed. The thing is, like, you have to decide. If you're an entrepreneur, you have to decide, are we going on the route of creating a high value product? Or are we going the route of creating a mass product? That's up to you. If you do sell a high value product, then obviously do watch the rest of the bit, because it's going to do a lot of good for you. Number one, command your space. As I said, I coach so many people from different industries in several countries at the moment. And they sell either high value product or a service. Now, my usual repertoire is like helping people to close somewhere between $100,000 to all the way up to $1 million, roughly. So one of the things that I see is, now these sales forces or these business owners or the senior people who sell these products, they have fantastic product knowledge. Sometimes they're engineers who actually created the product. They're actually good in communication as well. Now, the business language, the English language, they are fluent in English language. But hey, they have loads of problem when it comes to closing the sale. Why? Because they don't have the self-worth. Now, what I usually ask is, if you're selling a $1 million product, do you believe that you're worth $1 million? If I ask you the question, what is your response? It has to be resounding yes, crisp, quick, resounding yes. But guess what? When I ask that in straight face, a lot of guys, they actually give me a roundabout answer instead, because they have inner conflicts. Now, why they don't have a self-worth? There are different reasons for that. Mostly coming from our South Asian cultural roots. You've been conditioned differently. Now, that's a whole different story. I've actually done a video about that. It's called the Ultimate Sales Mindset. I'll put a link up there so you can click and watch. That's one of the reasons. And secondly, do you believe this product worth $1 million? If you believe no, it's actually worth half the amount, well, you have inner conflict. So you won't be able to close the sale. When your client poses challenges, you're going to back off, because you're going to believe what he or she is saying, because you already believe this product is not worth this much, whatever the value that you have, whatever the price tag that you have added into this product or service. So these are the problems that is going to surface when you're in front of a very demanding, high net worth client. So you cannot command the space. You have to know that you're worth way more than $1 million. Once that figured out, and then you had to command the space, meaning that with high value that you put yourself, you're going to command equal standard from your client. Now, what does that mean? A lot of the time I've seen that you think the client is actually superior than yourself, and you immediately put yourself one step or many steps below the client. You are inferior to the client. As a result, obviously, you won't be able to close a sale because client doesn't know how to decode it, but he or she feels that I'm actually in a better position in this negotiation. I can push this person for negotiation. I can challenge this person. I can show my hesitation, doubts, do all sorts of things to make sure that I'm not going to pay a premium or probably not even go ahead with that sale at all. So that's why you need to have this philosophical understanding. Look, my client is not superior than me. At the same time, I'm not superior than the client also. My whole request here is that we are all same. We're playing in the equal ground with mutual respect. This is not a ticket for your ego. This is about claiming mutual respect. This is not about you're building a wall around yourself so it's unapproachable. You're actually setting standards. Now, this is how you're going to continue, or this is how you're going to do our negotiation if you're going to come inside to the network of my clients. This is how you do a high value sales. So commanding space is absolutely important. If you don't know how to command your space, you're going to suffer. It's going to drag and you're going to suffer the entire process. The second tip is master the art of presence by absence. I'll explain what that is. Now, this actually happens completely the other way around in the world of sales. Now, a lot of salesmen are just ready and steady to respond to their client all the time. Imagine if the gold was as available as pebbles everywhere. What will happen to gold? Will you give that value to the gold? The gold's value will drop drastically, isn't it? This is what happens when you're available all the time. I've seen in some instance now, you communicate, the client goes super quiet, completely radio silent, and few weeks later, here comes the client back again from the moon and drop you a message, and you instantly respond to that client and goes on. How many sales were you able to close like that? Especially high value. Very unlikely, very slim chances that you have to close sales like that, especially in a short span of time. Usually these kind of sales just to drag on. It's because you show the neediness to, I want to close this sale, I want this sale written all over your communication. Whether it's a WhatsApp messaging or phone calls or emails or Zoom or physical, whatever the communication method you use. So the guys whom I coach, they are not available all the time. They're available, it's actually the given time, the time that both you and the client agree upon. We have a high value for our time. It all boils down to time, isn't it? We can't work 24/7. We have time to sleep, we have time to eat, we have time to work out, to spend with our time, with our family. There's a limited time. So when you serve a high net worth individual and you're selling high value product, then you need to have your number of, you have a space. So this is the space that I'm going to dedicate, and these are the people that I'm going to let them come into my zone of a meeting. So once you schedule a meeting and you agree upon, okay, next Thursday at 11 a.m., we're going to meet at this particular time, and you share how serious you are about the time that you just set. See, this you have to do with a nuanced touch. It has to be complex and very subtle way of approaching it, because otherwise it looks like a ticket to your ego. We're not expressing ego, we're not aggressive, we're very professional, and also we're very systematically guide your potential client through, look, if you're going to come for our meeting, once you agree upon, and this is how we do. Usually, if you agree and if you don't turn up, then we will not give you another opportunity for a meeting. And if you do agree, and this is how we do it, we start the meeting at, let's say, 11 o'clock, meaning that we're starting the meeting at 11 o'clock, not that you're walking into the meeting at 11 o'clock. You have to be there at least 5 minutes before and seated. And you can guarantee that we'll be on time as well, sharp. We'll be sharp as well. So usually this is how we do it, because then we understand the business that you want to do with us is actually a priority in your list, because you are going to be a priority in my list. So once you do this kind of a conversation, if that person is the right client for you, that person will really appreciate and honor it, because everybody wants a supplier. Everybody wants us to do business with someone who take them seriously. So this is what the subtle communication is about. So once you agree and schedule that meeting, chances are very high this person will turn up on the right time and will give you the fullest attention and fullest respect. Now, do you see that you have people who say that you're going to come for meetings, and these meetings get chucked around everywhere? And even if they come to the meeting, they're super distracted, super late and super distracted, taking dozens of phone calls and looking at the notification, talk about other nonsense. And then you have desperate attempt to close this high value sale and never seem to going anywhere. It's because you didn't set the tone before. So you mark the presence by absence. So you're available at this time and you're not available all the time. Usually what I tell my clients, as well as the people that I coach, we guide them through the next steps. Look, this is how you're going to communicate. These are our steps, and this is how you're going to communicate. And if once the client is on board, if that person has an emergency, look, this is the number that you need to contact. If you have a problem, you will get back to you in 24 hours, and etc., etc. So you set that tone. To do that, obviously there are psychological conflicts in majority of the people in South Asia. It comes from cultural upbringing. It's always the case. It's either come from religion, either come from your parents, or your whatever the background that you have been raised. So that need to be addressed, and you need to go deep in that, very individually. So I have the ground expertise to do that. As one of the reasons why all these top corporates pay me top dollar, because I get the job done. So one of the biggest things is that I bring this ground knowledge. I know where it's bringing from. I know how the root causes. Once it's removed, most of the people in South Asia, they're actually highly skilled. The IQ is pretty high. Intelligence is pretty high. The level of the ability to absorb and realize something is pretty high. It's just that these cultural conflicts are pulling you behind and creating these inner conflicts in you and not letting you propel and prosper in your industry. So this needs to be addressed first. And then, of course, before I move to the third one, I have this sales accelerator program that has brought incredible value to my clients. It's the only one of its kind. Now, nowhere in the world they exist, to be honest, because we bring some incredible psychology as well as hundreds of sales and negotiation tactics. We do the pre-assessment and make sure that every single one of the people who have signed up, we have identify their specific inner conflicts and remove it, and guide them through the sales and negotiation program. We track and monitor, only program to do so, and hence we bring the results that we promise to bring. So there are two ways to do that. If you do have a team who have at least minimum of 10 of sales staff, then there's a link below that you can click and we'll have a chat. And secondly, if you are an individual who watching this, you are one-man show, or you're a sales professional who wants to accelerate your sales, you want to learn this, click the link below, second one, and we'll see if you're qualified. We'll take you, and hopefully we'll take you in, and you will actually join a cohort. There'll be a batch who are actually highly driven, who has the same problem and has the similar dream, and you'll be in that cohort, and we're gonna look after you. Now, don't click if this is not your priority. It has to be a priority. Tip number 3, command your interest. Do you agree that we all get super interested to attain what is unattainable? There's a human psychology behind it. I'll explain a little later. But we all want to get that what is unattainable. So when you're sat for a negotiation, it's a clear exchange between interests. Now, guess what a lot of people do? They are ready to offer their product and service somehow to this client. Listen to all sorts of demand this person actually bringing, completely unreasonable, especially in terms of price and delivery. They say, yes, we'll do it. Someone comes and say, look, can you deliver this project, whether it's a web development or software, whatever, but we want this in 3 weeks. And as a tech expert, it's going to take 12 weeks in real. But here you are saying, yes, we'll give you 3 weeks. We'll give you 3 weeks. Now, you're never going to sell a high value product in that way. You have to learn how to say no. No, you cannot do this project in 3 weeks. We don't lower our quality of our product and the way we deliver. Adjust into how you ask. You're not an expert of this subject. We are the experts. So as best interest for you, let us not give you a mediocre product. If you want a mediocre product, you're talking to the wrong person. If you want the best product, then this is how you're going to do it. See, one of the things that I coach everyone is that we don't sell. As opposed to all the sales programs out there, sell hard, sell aggressively. We don't sell. We only educate our clients. If the client has intelligence, if the client understands the value of the product, if the client is this product or the service is priority for that person at that time, obviously he's going to drag you and come behind you to close the sale. Okay, so we don't sell. We command our interest saying no. Wherever he crossed the line, we say no. We don't get discounts and we don't deliver the project or the product or the services like this. This is how we do it for the best interest of the client. Now, the human psychology is that something is difficult to attain and you want to attain that. It's because the curiosity, the factor that we are driven with curiosity. See, what you need to remember is that you always need to know that if you're selling a high value product, if your product or the service is in the priority list of the client. If it is not, this whole sales cycle is going to be such a pain in the back. And most likely, this person is not going to close the sale, he's not going to pay you, he's going to drag to the maximum that person can. A lot of things are going to happen. You're going to waste a lot of time. Every time you're after a sale or a client who should not be your client, you actually just lost the opportunity to go after a client who should be your client. So remember, when people say, look, we need to think about something else, we need to have a discount, the price is too much, and etc., etc. And also we can't start this, we need so many months to start this, come to this, to close this sale, etc. Remember this person who said it's too much is actually paying a premium for some crap somewhere else. Think about it for a second. People buy the things that they actually don't even need with the money that they don't have. For instance, people buy vehicles, lease the vehicles, building buildings, houses, buying jewelry, going for holidays, all sorts of things. These are called mortgages or leases or loans, credit cards, borrowings. People buy the things from the money that they don't have. Why? Because they have prioritized it, because they value it so much. Now you should be in that list. Now that's my point of when I'm coaching my clients about high value products, that's the one of the concepts that I bring. We don't buy when people say they don't have money. They made an approach because they need it. So make sure that you put them in the priority list. Otherwise, we're not going to take that person in. This is how you command your space. Again, this is not about a ticket to ego. It's about setting standards. It's about expressing how valuable your time, how valuable your product or service, the value that you put to that product or service, and you're so sure about the benefit that's going to come, that's going to enjoy by the client, and how valuable this whole negotiation is. Donald Trump, love him or hate him, famously said, a good negotiation is not a good negotiation if you can't walk away. So if that person doesn't come to the line of certain things that you don't compromise, you should be able to actually willing to walk away. The moment you walk away, you send a clear signal to this client. You actually convince him or her how much you actually believe about this product or the service. And remember, we have 8 billion people on earth. You're actually not short of sales. You actually have too many of them. You just haven't explored. So remember that well. I'll speak to you again in the next video. Hope this mindset shift is going to do a lot of good for your business. Then live with spirit.